All right, folks, welcome to the Gritty Podcast. We are at the Sheep Show in Reno, Nevada, and I'm joined by my boys at Leupold. We got Tim Lesser here, Colin. We're going to talk today about this BX6 Range HD binocular rangefinder.
Yep.
And Tim, tell us about it. Because it's revolutionary. It's new.
This is a tougher one to talk about initially because it does so much that what order do you go through it all? So the way that I approach this is the way that we designed it. When we were going through designing this, hands down, it had to be the best optics, period. So it had to be the binocular itself has to be the best range-finding binocular on the market, period, regardless of price point. So that was job one. Very proud of the team. They have done that. So it's phenomenal, top tier glass. The next thing after that was, honestly, it needs to be the best in every other category. And that is a big challenge. So we've been working on this for a long time. But when I say that, I mean, we're going to need to have the best ballistics. It needs to range the fastest. You need to have the most simplified process for getting into it. So if this thing works really well, but is clunky and hard to use, you've lost me. I'm gone, right? So boiling all that down, it needs to be something that you can glass through all day, every day, period, best glass. And then everything else needs to be so simple that you don't worry about it. That's an us problem. That's a Leupold problem, not a consumer problem. And that's how we went after it. And so just rifle ballistics, archery ballistics, pinning on maps. Those were the big things that we were trying to go after, but they all have to be best in class. That pin needs to be exactly where you dropped it. It needs to be right there. If you need to take that shot, the bullet needs to hit in that spot.
So does it do it?
It does. It does.
So this thing will do your ballistics,
rifle and archery.
And archery.
Yep.
What's the tech in there for the archery calculations?
So it's precision cut archery.
Okay.
And high level on this without overwhelming everybody immediately right out of the gate is one of the big things is that we're going to pay attention to where you zeroed. What were the conditions? So we call it a zero conditions. What were the conditions like when you zeroed? So you come to the factory in Oregon, we're at sea level, pretty mild temperature, right?
Yep.
So you come out, you shoot your bow, you set your pins, you get your tape, you've done all that, and you've done that at sea level, and it was 55 degrees. Now you're with Pedro, and you're in one of the stands, and you guys are up there, and, it's now 12,000 feet, and you're doing the whole deal. It knows that.
No way.
And so it says, okay, you started here and now you're here and you're using this sight tape. Dial that to 80.
Wow.
So it can, you could absolutely go change your tape if you wanted to, but
that's
when it's going to convert all that down to what your tape already says.
Yeah. And it's not just
that is sick.
It's not just
so
the
no
software.
more redoing it.
You have to go and recite in and do all that work when you get there.
Right.
And
not anymore.
Wow.
Yeah. The onboard sensors are for the environmental adjustments.
Yeah.
So it's collecting that data where you're at all the time, every time you activate that, and then it will compensate based on what you need to do for whether you're shooting rifle or bow.
There's stuff hiding everywhere in there for temperature, pressure, humidity, all that, so that this can be your weather station, right?
Yeah.
And it knows, and it takes care of it. And so the idea is make the complex very simple. And this industry does a good job of making complex solutions. We can go solve for the complex, but then it's kind of clunky and it's tough to, you know what I mean? And you almost need a degree in how do I set this up? And once I get it, I don't want to touch it again and I'm going to leave it the way that it is.
Yeah.
You need, all that's got to go away. The connection and the process and the setup has to be as simple as what you need it to be in the field, right? And so you hear me say first time, every time it has to work. I'm going to be stressed. I'm going to be focused on something else. I can't be pulling out an abacus and a wind sock and you know what I mean? Like, I can't do all that. I want to push a button, get a range and shoot.
That's incredible. And so it does the rifle as well. Same way.
Yeah. So we're using Hornady Ford-off ballistics on that. And if you're not familiar with that, there's a few ways of getting ballistics. And one of them is you hear people talk about a G1 or a G7, different types of ballistic coefficients. What that really is what's the shape of your bullet. And then they use that and they model based on the shape of that bullet. What does that do through space as it's going through? What's it do through the air, the atmosphere at different velocities, all of those things. What Ford-off has done is added another layer to that where they've gone out and used Doppler to map that exact bullet throughout its entire trajectory. And a whole bunch of things are really dynamic. You know, you're looking at precession and how the bullet is wobbling throughout flight. That changes, just like when you throw a football. It changes throughout the flight. It changes with a million different things. They've mapped that out and plugged it in. And so it isn't a guess of, does your bullet look like this or like this? And neither one of them is actually what a bullet looks like today.
Mm-hmm.
They know exactly what that bullet does from this velocity to this velocity through the entire curve because they've mapped it. So now when you once you load that in there, you have multiple rifles, whatever it is, save all of that. It'll do all the work for you. And that's what the control app, doing it on the app is for. Make it nice and easy.
That's incredible.
So full pixel display when you're looking through it. Makes everything highly legible, easy to describe, easy to see, easy to read, and very, very precise.
Yeah, that is really clean. Looking at these details in here. Glass looks good. Does it coordinate with your mapping system?
It does. So we can, OnX is probably the best known, but Apple Maps, there's a number of mapping systems that you can go through and drop a pin on, but I'll use OnX for the example. So once you calibrate this, that is something that's needed, just with anything, depending on what area. So if you're in Washington and then you go to Florida, the angle in relation to true north versus magnetic north changes. So when you get there, super quick calibration process. But now, if I'm ranging something, whether it's, okay, I put that buck to bed and I'm going to want to spend midday getting close, or I see a herd of elk, but I can't tell what property they're on. There's a number of uses for it. But basically, when I want to, I range them. It drops a pin on my OnX, and now I can see exactly where they are.
You know, I shudder to think the number of animals I would have killed in the 90s had that been available to me. It just feels so unfair today. Like honestly, there were times where like that tree, photograph it, you get over there, nothing looks the same.
Ever.
And
Not even close.
Even last year, and I'm pretty good at this stuff now, I put a mule deer to bed and I got over there and I wandered around for like 40 minutes trying to figure out where the hell I put it to bed at after I went around the back of the mountain and climbed to the top and got over there. Nothing looks the same.
Ever.
And to have it right there, that'll make me even more deadly. I mean, I was deadly before, but now.
Or think about how many times you picked the wrong ridge to hike up by looking at your mapping software and be like, I think it's over there. And now you can figure out exactly which one it is.
You're one cut away.
Exactly.
That's right.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So that kind of turns it into a wayfinding tool, right? Yeah. You can. So the idea is be able to do everything all at once, but sit, glass, find, drop the pin, then I can wayfind to it, whether that involves dropping off of this mountain, driving around there, coming in the other way, or he's here and I want to try to get to there. And those are, how far apart are those, right? So if I can get to that rock, that bush, that whatever, right?
Yep.
That break in the timber line, you can look at those. You can look at both of them on a map and you can say, okay, yep, I'm going to go around and come out and wait right here and wait for him, and he'll be right there, and I know where to look. It changes the way that you hunt and the way that you can kind of look at the mapping, and making sure that that's accurate was job one on the pinning part.
That's cool. I got to do it. I got to use it. Hello, friends. The Western Hunt Expo is fast approaching, and for the third year in a row, I'm hosting a gritty movie night. Come and hang out at a movie theater with me on February 12th, 2026 in the Salt Lake area and watch a brand new, never-before-seen gritty movie on the big screen. We've got elk, we've got grizzlies, we have multiple films. It's going to be a night of fun with incredible prizes and giveaways. For tickets, go to staygritty.com and click the Gritty Movie Night link on the homepage. There you'll see we have more than $10,000 in prizes from Peaks Equipment, Initial Ascent Packs, Weatherby, Leupold Optics, and Prime Bows. And not only that, I promise these movies are going to be worth your time. It's going to be a fun night at the cinema. Go to staygritty.com and click the link to the Gritty Movie Night. Get your tickets. I hope to see you there. So do you have like a version of this that's handheld?
We do. So this is a binocular. We have a handheld that's just called an RX5000. So this is a BX because it's a binocular, right? And that's an R for rangefinder. So the RX5000 is a handheld binocular, easy to keep on a pack, on a hip, on a wherever. We'll do all of the same things in terms of you can just drop a pin with it. So super handy little wayfinding tool. Range out to 5,000 yards. This, because you're dealing with a bigger unit, you can get out to about 6,000 out of the bino. But I mean, we're talking 5,000 and 6,000 yards, right?
Yeah. Well,
that's a long ways.
The thing about, you tell me, you're headed out the rangefinder or the rangefinding bino. Where are you at and why?
Before, I would have said the rangefinder, and mine's a little bit more of a complex answer, just in that it depends what I have a bow in my hands or a rifle. But I would have said in the past handheld. 100% I would have said that because I didn't want my primary optic, my primary viewing device kind of clouded, if you will, by a rangefinder and by having that display in it. So I'm going to sit in glass all day. People hunt differently. I am, I'll call it efficient. You might call it lazy. But I want to get up high, right? And so I want to walk with my eyes, not with my boots in most cases. So I want to sit there and I want to look through this. I'm going to pick apart that hill, whether it's a bino or a spotter. And so I did not want in the past to give up the absolute kind of precision and perfect resolution of a top end bino by putting a rangefinder in it. So that's what I would have said.
Yep.
Now with this one, I've tested it side by side with everything. I've sat there, I put it through the paces. I've used it in low light. It has earned my confidence. Been working on this long enough that I know I've got the best optics still. So I would carry this with one exception. This is a bit much if I've got a bow in my hand. So now I want something small. If I'm in tight cover, this is 10 power. It's bigger. It's not ideal for in tight, sneaky, close.
Yeah, getting it out of the harness and in the harness, bino harness. Like, I mean, if you have a tether on your handheld, you can even just let go. I even saw Staten had like a magnet.
Yes.
Like that just kind of.
You just.
And you let go of it. So lots of times where you're like range and you don't have time to like deal with a bino, and then it's in your hand too. With a bow in hand, I could see it. At the same time, I've used my other rangefinding, the other version is BX5.
Is it a rangefinding bino? So that'd be the BX4.
BX4. I pulled that thing out and I'm holding it with my bow like Coos deer in Arizona. And I actually, black bear, same thing in dense cover. I actually liked having the rangefinder built into the bino.
So you could be viewing as well.
Yeah, I did. And it actually wasn't bad for bow hunting. It wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be in tight. I mean, it has its pros and cons, but sometimes, I'm looking through a bino anyway because
totally fair.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I need to see where that ear is. I need to see as I take that one next step, if that mule deer buck in the sage is like onto me or not.
That's fair.
And so it's like constant checking with my bino. And I kind of want to just know then I don't want to put it away and then pull out a rangefinder.
Yeah.
Especially if it's steep or downhill or anything like so. Yep. I kind of am torn myself. That's why I ask like what scenario is. I do think if you get good at it with it in the harness, and you get good at and you have a nice quiet setup, I could see like, because I am using my binos on a stock that last 100 yards a lot
to see if you're
busted. To see if I'm busted, to move when their eyes are the other way. And it's hard. You can't do that with a handheld very well. You're looking, but it's like just not taking up the screen the same way.
When they're intentionally lower power.
Yeah.
So for me, I think the argument was more around field of view and magnification than it was kind of bulk.
Okay.
And so in a spot where I would want 10 power for looking at an ear, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah. Even then, there were also hunts where I'm like, the thing about the handheld, when my hands are like, when I'm shaking because my adrenaline's going, I noticed there were a few times where when I was using the rangefinding bino, I pull it up and I hit the thing. I knew for certain in the grass that the marker is hitting the animal's body.
Right.
In Alberta, it was just flat. Pedro and I were there. And a few times, I like take my handheld rangefinder and I'm looking through it and I'm like ranging and I'm like, am I hitting the animal or am I hitting the grass?
Sure.
Am I hitting that or am I hitting and there's the rangefinder zooms you in so much, which like you said, can be a problem, but it's also an asset because I know that when I ranged it, it was on that eyeball and it wasn't anywhere else. And I'm confident in the range I got.
Sure.
So I just carry both.
Yeah. That's what ends up happening.
Yeah. This is cool.
I love that philosophy.
Yeah. This is
each.
Cool. So if a guy is looking at these, availability.
So we're here at Sheep Show. They'll be available in the middle of February. So we've got them here. We're talking about them now, but what you're going to see is that we'll start putting the data up on our website. You'll see kind of the general push come out mid-February because that's when they'll be available on retail shelves. So we want to wait and talk about them when people can go get them.
Will they be at the Western Hunt Expo?
They will.
That's just right there, mid-February.
Yeah, we're getting close. It's that time of year.
So this button right here,
Yep.
Once you have it set up, that's kind of all you're using is this.
Correct. It is. You're gonna use that to turn it on. And honestly, I see a lot of people. So I'm going to use this for a PSA, and
Yep.
I'm gonna push my personal belief out there. You see a lot of people. You should just need to push that on and then push it once again.
Yep.
I recommend don't do that. Scan with it. All of our rangefinders are set up so that you turn it on with that button, press it and hold it. And then when you know you're on the target, let go rather than try to hold the crosshair on the target and press the button.
Tap it once.
So, for shooters, it should resonate. It's like having a 10-pound trigger. So there are button requirements. There are legal reasons that button needs to be kind of hard to push.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you push it and hold it, now it'll just sit there and keep updating. And then you can tell, yep, you get the same thing 5 times in a row, right? 65, 65, 65, whatever it is. When you let go, you're much less likely to flinch letting go of the button than you are pressing it the first time. But yeah, that should be the only one you need. Everything on the left side is more for redundancy in case you do something. Well, I'll flip it around. In case I do something stupid with my phone and I need to change a setting. That's all there. It's backup so that you don't need to have a phone to adjust settings. But realistically, it'll be simple either way. It's just a little easier with a phone.
And the phone app is pretty easy, Colin?
It is. Yeah, the in-house team that we have did an absolute killer job with it. And we did a whole bunch of testing where they got involved with us as well in the field on the range and everything. And we built out different personas for the type of end user. And with those personas, we had different setup requirements or testing procedures that we did on that to make sure that it was the easiest possible for someone that's a hunter or someone that's a PRS or NRL shooter, or even an archer. And so we went through all those with them. So it was really cool. They got firsthand experience of making sure, hey, this is a little bit clunky. Can we adjust that? And it was done almost immediately. So the app's incredible. That will also update. So if you have the Leupold control app right now, which is a free app, you can it will automatically update here mid-February once we launch the product officially.
Sweet. Hey folks, pardon the interruption, but I've got to tell you about this new Tricer RP bipod for your rifle. This thing is incredible. It's going to take the market by storm. You're going to want one. Everyone will. It's like no other bipod on the market. It's been designed to do everything in one bipod, which is generally not what we have available to us on the market today. Use the code GRIDDY over at Tricer and you will save. Whether you're shooting from a prone or sitting position, this bipod adapts seamlessly to every field environment. You're going to get rock solid stability when it matters most. This bipod includes everything for $299. You've got the long legs, the short legs, you got spikes, you got rubber feet, Arca Swiss, Picatinny compatible, plus a swivel stud to Picatinny adapter, giving you unmatched flexibility for any hunting scenario. Bottom line, this is the last bipod you'll ever need. Use the code GRIDDY over at Tricer.com. You'll get a discount and you'll get the last bipod you'll ever need. All right, let's get back to the show. So how easy is it to integrate with like your OnX?
That is it's seamless, right? So when you're going through,
super easy.
When you're looking on the control app, and we may be able to do some screenshots or something, but as you're going through, there's a map pinning section. And so you say, okay, what map do I want to use? Do I want to use Apple Maps? Do I want to use Google Maps? Do I want to use, generally, like I say, for a lot of what we're doing, it's OnX. But you can pick which one of those you want. Now, the immediate thing that a lot of people think of is, okay, great. So every time I range, you're going to drop a pin, and my OnX is now going to look like it's going to look like my spam filter for my emails. No, that is not the case. When you're ready to do that, you're like, okay, I want a pin the next time I range.
That'll be basically the only time you have to pull your phone out for anything with this. So you pull it out and you hit your pin button. That makes it to where the next time you activate that range button,
it's good to go.
It'll drop a pin. It'll automatically pull OnX up with your pin. You'll see a little Leupold pin there. And then you can customize that too, right? It doesn't have to be a Leupold pin. This will just, if you have 700 pins or something in there, that gold Leupold pin will drop in and you can put your,
whatever you want.
Sawbuck or whatever you want to put in there. Yep.
That's cool.
But the one thing that I would mention here is magnets and pinning do not go hand in hand.
Mm.
It is not a good thing. So you'll notice bino harnesses are getting away from being magnetic enclosures.
Sure, yeah.
Apple watch bands, heavy they're easy to connect and close,
Yeah.
but they have a magnet in them. So you're trying to keep and your phone, by the way, is full of magnets. So holding your phone in your hand while you range, bad idea. Just because it messes with that disturbance, or it disturbs the magnetic reading. So just keep those away from you. It won't be super accurate if you range out of a pickup. Step out of it, get away from it.
Yeah.
If you're surrounded by metal, but that pin will be what you were looking at.
Yeah. Any ferrous metal. So it's just kind of a safe bet to do that calibration process, which is run through, you pull the app up, hit calibrate, you spin it around like Tim did a minute ago.
Yep.
And it's about 30 seconds or so, and you'll be recalibrated for the area that you're at.
And that's when you're moving kind of big geographic locations, right? You're not doing that every morning. You're not.
Dude, this is sick. This is sick. The glass.
That's the beauty of good optics, because you pick them up and then you don't want to put them down. When you get it right, when they're that good, it has this impact.
Sure, exactly.
And the glass, how did you jump to this glass? Like get there?
There's a lot of work that goes into that. And one of the reasons that, if you were to ask me why now?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the idea of a range-finding binocular is not new, right?
Right. Yeah.
But we won't do something until we can do it right. And so at this ultra premium, has to be perfect optics, there wasn't a great way of getting it done yet. The display technology wasn't there. So I'm not much of an artsy type guy, but the color wheel, if you go back and look at a color wheel, there's colors all around it.
Yeah.
And if you look through most rangefinders, if you were to hold them out at arm's length or whatever it is, red dots do the same thing, red dot sights. If you look at a bright white target and then look through something that has a red display, the world view looks blue. So you look through it and it looks like I'm looking at a white piece of paper and it's got a blue tint.
Yep. I know what you mean.
The reason for that is that on a color wheel, if you look at where red is, the color of the display, directly opposite of that is blue.
Yeah.
The color that you're seeing. So much like a heads-up display in a car would work, where there's something shining on the inside of the windshield and then it bounces to your eye. We've got a display that's laying inside of any rangefinder or red dot sight that's sitting down out of the way, down in the bottom, projecting up like a heads-up display.
You have to have the right glass.
We need to set coatings in there that reflect that red color back to your eyeball.
Yeah.
Well, if we're reflecting it off of that lens inside, so it goes up and bounces off that piece of glass, that reflector, and comes back to your eye, all of the red to that same wavelength that's coming in through the objective side is bouncing off and turning around and going the other way. So the way that you defeat that is to get a very, very narrow band of red, not just saying I'll take all the reds. You go down to a specific wavelength of whatever color, and that's the only one that you block out. And so we needed a couple of things to come together. We needed a display technology that could get super bright without using too much power, and a display that could do predictably the same very narrow band of wavelengths. Because if we put a filter in there that only reflects that, and now this display is slightly over here and that one's slightly over there, it doesn't reflect. So that's, in order to keep the world-class world view, you have to cut out as little as possible, and it just wasn't feasible until recently. Or you had to just jack the power way up, which creates a lot of light pollution inside and kills your battery life. So we finally got into a place where you can keep all-day optics, where you're not giving up that world view, and get a good battery runtime and all the things that we needed. So until we could get all that, we weren't going to do it. And I've been driving the product line managers completely insane over this product. And and then when they got it all done and brought it to me, the engineers, everybody else, it exceeded my expectations, and they were really high. So to that team back in Beaverton, I mean, I know they've been pulling their hair out. When I started the project, hair was a completely different color, but we got there, and I'm very, very proud of it. They knocked it out of the park.
The display is really clean, because that's one of the things. Often too, I'm blinded by the display. Like one of the things about a range-finding bino is I'm looking through it, and then the red is the signal coming back. It's like I can't see, and then you're kind of like in.
You're going to wait for it to turn off so you can see what you're doing.
Exactly.
So one thing you can do on this, we can adjust times. Colin talked about like NRL hunters. So you and I may use this differently than somebody that's going to use it for a competition, where they've got a target array of 5 different things and they want to range them all and then go. Once I ranged, I want that gone. I want to be able to see.
Right.
So if you push the left button and then the right one, it'll clear it out for you. That's hard to do if there's a bow in your hand.
Yeah.
but you can immediately kill the display. I got what I want. I want that display turned off, but it'll be customizable. So like I will be much more likely to have that display stay on for 2 seconds or less.
Yep.
And the competitive shooters may say, I want it to stay on for a full minute.
I see. So you can do that yourself.
Yeah.
Like the phone app or?
Yeah. Either way.
Either way.
But it's easier on an app where you can scroll back and forth instead of, kind of thumbing through a menu.
Yep. You can change those. So that reticle that you're looking at in there, there's 3 different options that you can toggle through either on the menu there or through the control app. There's different reticle thicknesses that you can adjust there as well. And then obviously brightness too. So
on the reticle, like I've had some in the past where, this is a fine reticle right here. Like I can put the dot right where I want it in range. In the past, I've had some reticles that are a little bit bigger and they're harder it's like I got to center the animal on that reticle.
Right.
How good is this at hitting?
They're aligned. And so what I think kind of what you're talking about is your rangefinder actually sighted in? And that's an odd topic for people because you just assume when I look at this reticle, that's where the laser goes. But much like when you take a new scope out of a box and stick it on a rifle, the bullet's going to go somewhere and the scope's looking somewhere else and you need to sight it in. You need to zero it. That's
just because you have crosshairs there doesn't mean they're hitting the right spot.
Yeah, I mean, I can walk over and turn the adjustments on the scope. Put the crosshairs wherever you want. The bullet's going right.
Right.
So that can happen on rangefinders and commonly does.
Okay.
So you're putting a crosshair right where you want it to go. You're looking here and the beam is going over there. These are that's set in perfectly precise. So that's what you're seeing there that's why that's so small.
That's sick.
We can align all of that. That's also why you used to see things like a big donut, right? If I put a big donut in the middle, now the beam's going to be in the middle of it all the time.
Yeah.
Because it's the size of Texas. That beam is going to hit Texas. But I don't know if the deer is in flat ground. If that circle is tall, now I could be hitting here, or here, and I wouldn't know the difference.
Yeah. It's wild the way that it works with your bow though. Because that's legit because I've done that where I'm shooting really well with my bow. Then I go to high elevation.
Yes.
And now I have to, this is where I liked the Garmin Zero, but it's illegal so many places.
Right.
But I could go with my Garmin Zero. I could quickly make a new arrow profile with the target. No pins need to be moved like with a little screwdriver or Allen key.
Yeah.
And then I could say, okay, shoot like an 80-yard shot perfectly, check my 20, and it'll just create me a whole new pin stack.
And you're done.
And I'm done.
Yeah.
In a matter of minutes, I could go to New Zealand to the high Alps, or you could be at sea level. And it's like, okay, a few minutes shooting your bow and you can kind of get it fixed. It's way off with a sight tape.
Way off.
And you can't, it's in the field. That's a nightmare trying to fix your sight tape. And if you're hunting mountains where it's angled downhill as well, some of those cuts are different.
Yeah, it's all
especially long range. So does this kind of account for that stuff? This
is the next level of all of that, right?
Really?
So if you think about true ballistic range was one of the things that we had. We called it TBR. It's still available, by the way. You don't have to go full rifle ballistics here. You can do a TBR. You can do the full Ford off. But what the idea with that was, okay, I'm looking uphill or downhill.
Yeah.
And I need to account for, okay, if it's uphill at this angle, then the horizontal distance is going to affect arrow drop, but the full long end of that triangle is going to affect the bullet or the arrow slowing down. Like you need to take into a bunch of things. What this is doing is taking into account where did you zero? And now you're up here and you've got your shot angle and you've got all of that. And where TBR would turn all of that into a shoot to distance.
Yes.
This is doing the same thing. I know that you zeroed here and you have a sight tape that is matched to those conditions. So now when we go there, instead of saying, okay, that's 82 yards and use a new sight tape, it's saying with your sight tape, just in those conditions, this is actually
73.
a 73 yard shot. So you dial to the 73.
That's legit. I mean, it's that's so valuable because especially with those elevation changes.
Yeah.
That happens all the time. Rarely do I account for temperature in archery. but I don't know, how much impact does that have?
It has more of an effect than you would think. And one of the things buried down deep in this is a ton of research on, we just think of the projectile going through the air, but there's wax on your string. There's a cold limb instead of a warm limb. There's a number of things that affect the overall kind of launch energy.
Yeah.
As well as the atmospherics in between.
Yeah.
And so I tip my hat big time to precision cut archery. There's a reason it's in there because it's the best. It works. And so we can go up, we can go up there and say, well, your arrow's going through colder air. It's colder,
basically,
but it's thinner.
When I'm at home and I'm shooting my bow and I'm dialed and I'm like nailing the ranges and it's perfect. My sight tape's perfect. And then I go to the desert on Tiburon and it's like hot and it's straight steep cuts and everything.
Yeah.
It's 80 degrees, 90 degrees outside, and I was shooting like in the winter because it's January in, Mexico.
Yep.
I just go click and it'll go,
correct.
This is where you should dial that tape.
It remembers that. So that now you need to get your sight tape right.
Sure.
Right. So it's not magic.
It's based on the accuracy of your sight job, that baseline.
It is.
And from there, if it's dialed, that's what I said. If I have it dialed, I can go into all these environments and be very confident that I'm dialing to the correct line on my tape for this, because that's wild. So, because there could be a difference between 20 degrees in the morning in the desert.
Oh, yeah.
And then 80 degrees in the afternoon.
Yep.
There's even that.
It's all of it. And so you spend the time setting it up and getting that sight tape right and making sure it knows you're using it when you do it, right? So it knows this is the condition set that we were in. Done.
That's wild.
Yeah.
It's because often when I travel or there are those little things, you're like, man, I was hitting dimes here.
Yep.
But here, I'm doing baseballs and still pretty good. And I'll kill an animal, but it's not perfect.
Yeah.
The big issue I found though was like, as I was on this goat hunt this year, I was a little worried that those longer range steep downhills, a lot of these rangefinder ballistic calculations were off.
Yeah.
And you see these guys making their homemade cut charts, because the calculations in the rangefinder don't quite do it.
Yes.
Is that different today?
It is. Yeah. So a lot of times, I mean, you would actually see people on kind of what I would call the upper end, right? The most knowledgeable,
it has to be distance.
They'd almost turn off the angle compensation because they just want, give me the distance. I'm going to use my own cut chart. I know you're trying to compensate for it, but you're not quite there yet.
Yeah.
Look, I'll just try it.
Okay. Because that's where it was like at the Total Archery Challenge.
You're step back.
I'm not on any hunts where I'm shooting like this angle. 80 yards.
That tack will expose a weakness.
I was doing that and I'm like, why did I miss?
Right.
I executed. And then you start to realize, well, your rangefinder's completely off. And then when you do figure it out, I remember talking to Phil Mendoza about this in 2015 at No Limits, and he had a sheep tag and he had a 78-yard shot like straight down. And he'd practiced it, he's good, but based on the rangefinder tech at that time, over a decade ago, it was wrong. And so he had to come home and create cut charts to kind of figure out. And the rangefinder was good up to certain distances or angles.
Yeah, from here to here, you're okay. But once you go to there,
everything changed.
Yeah.
So that's really cool. Because I was up there and I was like, I ain't shooting that far anyway, so it doesn't matter. I was shooting straight down, but I was pretty 40 yards and in, for the most part. On a sheep, though, it could be a total, you're not getting on a sheep the way you do a goat. You can, but, sheep are.
And no matter what it is, that's an expensive arrow, right? We always want to do right by the animal. We want to do all of those, but that is a really expensive arrow.
If I'm at the sheep show, like I want to do a sheep hunt someday. I'm dismayed that their baselines are like $50K. That's an expensive arrow. That's a very expensive arrow. It makes me regret the fact that I didn't.
I know.
Do the sheep. 10 years ago.
You look in the rear view and
the price was so much different.
So much different.
It's like crazy.
So much different.
Unless you get absolutely lucky.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be nice to draw something, like that.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out my route in, and I haven't figured it out yet. There's a two-stage plan that could work.
A Canadian citizen.
Okay. There's a there's There's multiple routes. The first one is get rich and then do it.
That's the best
So
way to
there's
do it.
that. That's a real,
That is the best way to do it.
the part one of the plan is a little more challenging, but there is that.
Once you get to the rich part, the rest of the plan falls right in.
A lot of other things fall into place too. But that's I don't predict that in any near future. Then there's move to Alaska 6 months
Yep.
out of the year and be a resident, right?
It's legit.
Suzanne's not a fan. The wife is not a fan of that plan. She hates that plan with all her being.
I can understand.
So that plan is rough, but that's a
It
plan.
gets you there.
Oh, I
Yeah,
mean,
it is.
6 months and you can be like doing your thing. Like there's something about that.
If I told you could make this much money in 6 months by doing it,
Yeah.
it's like target math. When you return something
That's right.
to Target, it's like,
Look,
instead of spending the $50K on it, you're basically making $50K over those 6 months.
and summer and fall in Alaska is epic.
Yeah.
Like, why not?
Yeah.
That's half the time I'm hunting anyway. Like, I was going to be in Alaska anyway.
Yeah.
So you're there for the spring and you're hunting grizzly bears and Kodiak brown, whatever,
I love it. Yeah.
and then you're fishing in the summer, and then you hit that fall and you're hunting sheep and moose and caribou. I have the plan figured out, Tim,
I like it.
but my kids are growing up almost. So that's a,
You can almost
Or-
reach it.
there's even the unlimited.
There is the unlimited.
Get up there. It's only a $1,200 non-resident tag with like 0% success rate. But I mean, hey, I can do
It
it.
depends on whether you said you wanted to kill a sheep or hunt a sheep. The unlimited tag is the best way to go hunt a sheep.
I think there's certain skill sets needed to pull that off, and I have them.
I think you've got them.
I have them.
I do. I agree with
So
that.
that's where I'm like, that's an option. So kicking that one around. So I'm scheming.
Okay.
The part where I just pay full price, that's a problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
With today's income. That's a problem. That's a serious problem. But that's funny. That's an expensive arrow.
It's a really expensive. It needs to go to the right for a whole bunch of reasons that are not all monetary.
Yeah.
It needs to go in the right place the first time.
Yes. Well, I'm excited to get my hands on these and use them. It's very cool. When can I get?
Yeah, we'll get some to you.
Yep,
So
that's-
they're launching now, and we're going through getting
cool.
those out. You'll be getting it soon. So
What's so this the range,
that is yes. So the basically what you've got
the laser?
is you've got any of the way that a laser works. You're sending a beam out, it bounces off the target, it comes back. So that's the send, and then it's receiving back through the actual optical channel. So what you don't want to do is put your finger in front of that while you're
Yeah.
trying to range,
Why is it that,
just because you won't get a good distance.
sure, but what's this?
That is the light to tell you that the Bluetooth is on.
Oh,
And so right now it's bright because we're inside.
yeah.
If you were in a low light situation and it was turned up that high and it was right in the middle of your face, it's going to look like a neon. So that will adjust.
Brilliant.
But it's mostly to let you know, hey, I am connected to the app. So you're not needing to pull out your phone and go, hey, am I on here? Is this working? Like when I want to pin it, is it still connected? Because generally most of us hunters and shooters, when it's time to place the bullet or the arrow, the last thing I'm doing is going, is my phone on? Is this
Mhm.
happening? You just need to go make it happen. And I'm not even going to check or think about that. I'm going to, hey, the opportunity's here. So we're going to finish this.
Mhm.
And then I may go back and pin afterwards, honestly. A lot of times I may shoot and then be like, okay, it was right there. That's where the pin goes.
Can you explain this? In rain or fog, like
Sure.
Kodiak, I'm headed there this year. I've used over the years, and I've been with friends, all using different rangefinders.
Mm-hmm.
Even the Garmin Zero, which the Zero jumped up pretty
Yeah.
good. Originally, it wouldn't even give me a range on a black object, which was a problem when I was hunting black bear.
Yeah.
I had to range a bush next to it and then like get the range.
Black
you know what I
and
mean?
white. Did you ever try to range a mountain goat?
No,
You'll have similar, but yeah.
So, it got better and better. But again, it's kind of not legal most areas I hunt today. But the Leupold range-finding tech has sliced through that stuff and been so much more effective, more accurate than some of the leading rangefinder brands. Like some of them had a little more gizmos than Leupold had
Sure.
until now, but they didn't work.
So going back to the team that I can't brag on them enough, but there's over 80 engineers. We'll leave it at
Yeah.
that. There's over 80 engineers back in Beaverton. Some are mechanical, some are, as you go through mechanical design, electronics design, optical design. But at its most base level, that group, when you look at the area that we're in with Intel being right there and other stuff, we get some of the best electronics engineers in the world out there. And then when you blend that with, they have a passion for being hunters, shooters, other stuff, there's this level of magic that happens. And so to answer that question, if you think about just as simple as a laser pointer.
Yeah.
And when I turn that laser pointer on and want to run the cat around the house, the dog around the house, whatever it is, the brighter it is inside, the less I see the dot.
Yeah.
The dustier it is, the less that dot cuts its way through. Our eye is the sensor on that, right? We're sending a beam out, it's bouncing off of something and coming back to our eye.
Right.
That's the way a rangefinder works. What that team has done is found better and better ways for the eyeball, the sensor, the receiver inside of that, to look for that data packet coming back.
I see.
And so you'll get different distances with a lot of rangefinders on a light-colored target versus a black-colored target, a shiny, smooth target versus a hairy type of a target, like a rock versus a shaggy bear. And it's all done in the signal processing part of it. And so what that sensor is looking for and how it cuts through all the noise. So easy way is if we had that laser pointer and we turn on a smoke machine.
Mm-hmm.
Now I can see the whole beam, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Because it's hitting all the particulate in the air and bouncing back to my eye. One of the strategies that had been out there with rangefinders was make that receiver super sensitive so that if I'm ranging, back when 1,000 yards was a long way to range, very little of that light was getting back. So it had to be super sensitive to pick that
up on just
so
the tiniest.
I'm looking for anything that is what I sent out, that is this wavelength, it's 905 nanometers. Give me anything that's coming back at 905 because it needed to pick up that one little data packet that made it back off the prairie dog mound in the middle of the day through all the glare back. Well, now you throw snow, just as a wildly different example. It's hitting every one of those snowflakes and it's coming back and it's reading it. So it's getting a distance at 5 yards, 5.5 yards, 6 yards, 13.5 yards, and it's going, and its little head explodes and you get nothing because it just got a million different distances.
I see.
And it doesn't know what to do with that. The way that you can work with that with the engineers, and I'm oversimplifying it and they would be smacking me.
That's fine. I'm dumb.
But it's they make the sensor smarter and they say the sensor is looking through all of those because those are going to be similar returns. That's a snowflake sized return and I need a moose sized return or whatever it is.
Right.
So it's getting all of those, but it's
ciphering through them,
picking the peak out of it.
To say this is what the real thing is.
Yes, this is the thing that you're after. And so that's how you can do like first target, last target. You've seen some of those where you can switch a laser to be on the last target mode. And that's great when you're in a tree stand and you need to laser through all the tree branches down to the ground somewhere. That's all signal processing. And really what sets that apart on the performance side of it is how well you do that. How well do you cut down the glare in the middle of the day? How well do you cut down the dust and dirt and rain and snow, but still get the target? And then how well do you interpret a light-colored target from a black-colored target? That same laser pointer, if you shine it on a black bear versus a white mountain goat, you're going to see two different brightnesses. The receiver in the rangefinder sees that as two different signal strengths and tries to tell you they're two different distances, even though they're right beside each other. But it's seeing it brighter off of one, so it's stronger off of one.
Yeah.
There is a mountain of engineering. It's very simple in theory how a rangefinder works. It's very challenging.
That's a lot of instantaneous calculations taking place.
And that's what generally then will slow them down and where you see slow response times. So getting all of that to happen effectively, accurately, and then very, very quickly is where in-house engineering that watches people, how do they use it, what are the lighting conditions. That's what the smart folks do, and they do it really, really well.
Yeah. Well, that's freaking cool. BX6.
Because you and I don't care. Push button, get range. That's what I want. I don't care.
Too.
I don't care. I don't care if it's snowing. Tell me how far away it is.
And I don't want to have it be too complicated. Just being able to turn on an app that's easy to interface with. That's everything. I remember the first Zero I got. It was like, and then they didn't have any micro adjustments for the reticle. It was all Allen key. And if it was off by like a hair, it took like hours to try to get that because when you tighten the key, it would slightly twist.
Everything would torque with it.
It's just like, man, this is the dumbest thing ever. But everything has iterations. You learn as you go. And but it's still shocking how engineers like figure these things out. I remember talking to those guys back in the day, and they were like, well, it's a sphere here and here. And, to get the reticle line up at full draw or something, like, that's wild. It's wild.
It's crazy. Yeah.
And,
what people think when you need to solve a problem.
Yeah, it's very cool. This resolving my archery issue with the tape and it telling me where to dial, so I never have to have multiple tapes or print a new tape or dial in a new tape on a hunt is so
big
cool.
deal. This is really geared at a pro user, right? And it's going to be, it's not the least expensive, but it's the best one out there. And it's an investment, but it's geared at that pro level person. If I always, I set my sight tape and I stay in Western Oregon and I'm hunting between 1,000 and 3,000 feet, I don't need some of that stuff.
Yeah.
You're changing location every week. You're in a new spot. You're doing these things. So some of this stuff, look, they're not for everybody. But every feature that you would need is in there, and it's very easy to weed through the ones that you don't want. If you're not going to be a competitive long-range rifle shooter, that just pushes all off to the side.
Over there, yeah.
And you never know it. It's not in the way. You don't even mess with it. But that precision long-range rifle shooter could care less about the conditions where you zeroed your bow. And so all of that is in there. It's all set for pro-level users. You just look at it and say, this stuff is interesting. This isn't. Make it go away. And it's gone.
How have people received this at the show so far?
Pretty well. There's not a ton of knowledge that it's even out there, so it's just kind of in the case because we don't officially launch until mid-February.
Yeah.
But word is leaking out after SHOT Show, and this is the right crowd, right? This is a group of people that need their gear. They need the most rugged, reliable, and precise gear on the planet. And so they're searching out stuff like this. It's been very well received. Everybody's like, wait a minute, what? And there's, I love doing new product, but I get a little bit kind of, out over my skis because I know more stuff that's coming for this.
Yeah.
And that's the nice part. It's software now. So as we go through, there's 5 or 6 new things. We're trying to not overwhelm everybody with what's available. There's some really cool stuff that we're going to be kicking out in another month that just pushes through.
Yeah.
It just comes through. There's no, I don't need to pay to unlock it. I don't need none of that.
That's wild.
It's just coming through, and you'll go, yeah, that's a massively huge
asset
example of improving, how I do this. So yeah, the reception has been really good. This is the community that can use that feature set, right? It's not for everybody, but this group appreciates it for sure.
It's actually pretty shocking because we came from SHOT here.
Yeah.
And so
like the last day of SHOT Show was yesterday.
Yeah. So aside from that, we haven't told anybody about it, but how many people have actually come up to the booth looking for it with what little media has actually been published on it so far? It's pretty exciting. And then they get to play with it and they get excited about it. And we've had quite a few people that wanted to go home with it. We had to tell them that they're going to have to wait a little bit. So
we even just little details, right? Like this eye cup. So this is the standard one. This is what we think is most comfortable, but they have all the replaceable eye cups like the pro, like the other series do. So if you want a winged eye cup or if you want to
switch it out, that's nice.
This user is going to use it all day, every day.
Yeah.
So how do we make it as perfectly customizable and simple for them as possible? Set it up the way that you want it. Forget that everything else exists. It just does what you want it to, and go focus on doing the hard stuff.
10x42.
10x42.
Plans for
like a 1250 or something. Yeah, we're always looking at that. 10x42 right now is the top seller for us, and we absolutely want to crush the optics like we talked about. So we will now go look at 12 powers, but for now it would be easiest if people just counted on it being a 10x42. Yeah. And when we get to a 1250 or something bigger, we'll launch that. But there's not an immediate follow-up coming because it's real work to get this level of optical performance and ranging together. Nobody else has done it. So
any other things you want to talk about real quick? Anything else that you want to talk about? Or
the last thing I would mention, sorry, Colin, I'm jumping in.
Before we wrap up here.
Yeah. The last thing I would mention is GPS pinning is not GPS pinning. It's not, if like a rangefinder, you say this has angle on it, you can compensate for angle in a bunch of different ways. Dropping a pin on a map is not the same everywhere. Others are coming with this. We are making sure that the way that it's done is exactly where you're looking, as opposed to in the general vicinity. And in the general vicinity doesn't do you much good unless it's very steep mountain terrain like New Zealand.
No, that's absolutely true.
So,
and not just that, it doesn't do you much good if it's thick.
Yeah.
Like You know what I mean? Like even if,
So you
if
want to
every
look at
tree looks the
accuracy.
same, you're hosed.
Yes.
You really need to know where it was.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So it's the
That's-
accuracy
okay.
and the pinning. So you'll see us touting a 2 degree or less
Yeah.
accuracy on the pinning. All we're
That's exciting.
trying to say with that is these pins are exactly where you want them to be, and that's not always going to be the case. So don't just take for granted if somebody says you can drop a pin on your map.
Kinda.
There's differences. You can't.
Yeah.
It's on the map. So
That's legit.
I'll leave that where it is.
Okay.
But it's an important thing, and we work really hard on it. And it's easy to just think it's all the same, and it's not.
Yeah. Well, brother, thanks for coming on the podcast and
Thanks for
sharing
having
it. Folks, check out that BX6. I mean, BX6 Range
You nailed it.
HD
Yep.
10x42. Come to the Western Hunt Expo.
Yeah, come use one. We'll let you test drive it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it'll be ready here pretty soon too. So I'm excited, man. I'm looking forward to that's going to make me really deadly for a few reasons. It really is.
Yeah.
Like I'm like
Things
thinking
change when that's in your hand.
this is like for just the pinning is one. That's massive. Unbelievably. But the other part is that archery tape. I have some trips planned that are 12,000 feet and sea level.
Yes.
Nice. Yeah.
And then I live at like 5, 6.
Yeah.
And so being able to adjust that, and I don't know, I can't wait to try that.
Yeah.
And I
Do
have
it
to
once,
say, like,
you're done.
I think sometimes when I don't land the best shot at a Total Archery Challenge event, it was the range. It was
Always.
my dial.
yeah.
No, actually, I've wondered a few times on some of these shots that are so far, and I'm shooting at 12,000 feet
Yeah. Yeah. You're
or
up.
14,
Yeah. There's no air left.
and I sighted in down here, and I don't have time to like adjust my tape
Mm-hmm.
to really see, or a place to really practice that angle, that distance, and so on.
Yep.
So this is gonna be wild, man.
Yeah. I think you're going to like it.
Cool.
That makes a big difference.
Well, folks, thanks for tuning in. And as always, stay gritty.